Find somewhere comfortable. You don't need to sit up straight or hold yourself in any particular way. You don't need to follow every word closely or remember anything you hear tonight. Just let the words come to you the way warmth comes when you pull a blanket up around your shoulders. Soft, arriving without effort. If today was hard, and so many days are, you don't need to set it aside just yet. It can rest here with you. We're not in a hurry to get anywhere. There's nowhere to be but here, in the quiet, in the dark. Tonight, we're going to talk about something that might feel very distant from where you are right now. Lasting change. Real change. The kind that doesn't fade after a few good days, but settles into you slowly, the way water finds its way into deep ground. We'll talk about what that actually means. Not as a challenge or a task, but as something almost tender. Something that has been happening inside human beings for thousands of years, quietly, without anyone fully understanding why. And then, when the words have done their work, we'll ease into something gentler still. A meditation. Something to carry you the rest of the way towards sleep. For now, just rest. The words will find you. There is a question that has followed human beings for as long as we have been capable of asking it. It's not a dramatic question. It doesn't announce itself. It tends to arrive in quiet moments, lying in bed perhaps, or standing at a window in the early morning, watching the light change. The question is simply this: can I be different? Not different in some grand, sweeping sense. Not transformed overnight. Just a little more at ease than I was yesterday. A little less at the mercy of the thoughts that circle in the small hours. A little more able to be still when everything inside me wants to run. If you've ever asked that question, and if you're here, you probably have, then what follows is for you. Because the answer, as it turns out, is yes. And the science behind that yes is one of the quietest, most extraordinary stories of the last 50 years. It begins, as so many things do, much further back than you might expect. The oldest known images of meditation were not painted in a gallery or carved into a temple wall for display. They were found on the walls of everyday dwellings in the Indian subcontinent, and they are somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000 years old. Small figures, sitting still, eyes lowered, hands resting, in postures that would be immediately recognizable to anyone who has ever sat down to meditate, even once. That is a long time to know something. For thousands of years before anyone thought to study it scientifically, before there were laboratories or brain scanners or even a word for it in English, human beings were sitting down, going inward and returning to their lives changed. The practice moved through ancient India and into China, took root in Buddhist traditions and Taoist ones, was codified by an Indian sage named Patanjali into a system that described meditation as one of the 8 essential limbs of a full human life. The oldest written mention of it appears in texts called the Vedas, composed around 1500 years before the Common Era, though they had been passed by voice from person to person for centuries before anyone set them down. The English word meditation itself comes from the Latin meditatum, meaning simply to ponder, to turn something over in the mind, to dwell with it. What is interesting, what is worth sitting with for a moment, is that all of these traditions, separated by geography and language and centuries, arrived at something similar. The idea that going inward deliberately and with patience does something to a person. It changes them. Not in a way that can always be pointed to or named, but in a way that is real and that lasts. For most of human history, this was taken on faith, or on the evidence of one's own experience, or on the testimony of people who had dedicated their lives to the practice and emerged from it somehow different, quieter, more rooted, less afraid. Then, in the middle of the 20th century, something shifted. Scientists began to pay attention. The first electroencephalographic study of meditation, meaning the first time anyone attached sensors to a meditator's head and watched what the brain was doing, was conducted in 1955. Two researchers, Anandé Das and Henri Gastal, sat with practitioners and watched the electrical patterns shift. What they saw was unexpected enough to warrant further investigation. The brain was not simply resting. It was doing something else entirely, something that didn't fit neatly into any existing category. A decade later, in the 1960s, a yogi named Swami Rama came to the Menninger Clinic in the United States. He sat down with researchers and offered to demonstrate what meditation could do to a body. What followed astonished the scientists in the room. He raised his heart rate to 300 beats per minute, held it there for 16 seconds, then brought it back down. He stopped his heart from pumping blood for several seconds while remaining fully conscious and aware. He produced different skin temperatures on adjacent parts of the same hand simply by directing his attention. He could shift his brainwave patterns on request, moving between states that ordinarily only occur during sleep or deep unconsciousness, while remaining awake and alert. The scientists who observed this did not know quite what to do with what they had seen. It did not fit the model. The model said that these things were involuntary, that the heartbeat, the circulation, the electrical patterns of the brain during sleep were beyond the reach of conscious will. Swami Rama simply sat there and demonstrated otherwise. It would take decades for the implications to fully unfold. In the early 1970s, a Harvard cardiologist named Herbert Benson began to study meditation more systematically. He was interested, initially, in stress and the heart. What he found was that people who meditated regularly used 17% less oxygen than those who did not. Their heart rates were lower. Their brains produced more of the slower electrical waves associated with rest and the early edges of sleep. Benson called what he observed the relaxation response, a physiological state, measurable and real, that was in many ways the mirror image of the fight or flight response the body produces under stress. The body, it turned out, had a built-in capacity for deep calm. And meditation was one of the most reliable ways to access it. Then, in the late 1970s, a microbiologist named John Kabat-Zinn did something quietly radical. He took the ancient practices he had encountered in Buddhist contemplative traditions and began to teach them, stripped of their religious context, to patients at the University of Massachusetts Medical School, people for whom conventional medicine had run out of answers. He called his program mindfulness, based stress reduction, and he ran it for 8 weeks, and he measured what happened. What happened was significant enough that the program is still running today and has since been replicated in hospitals and clinics around the world. The ancient practice had entered the laboratory, and the laboratory was beginning to understand what the ancient practitioners had always known. Here is something worth knowing if you are lying here tonight wondering whether anything can really shift. Think. The brain is not fixed. For most of the 20th century, the prevailing view in neuroscience was that the adult brain was essentially finished. That by a certain age, the structure was set, the pathways were laid down, and that was more or less that. You worked with what you had. This turned out to be wrong. The brain is, in fact, extraordinarily responsive. It changes in response to experience, to practice, to the things we do repeatedly and the things we stop doing. This capacity has a name now: neuroplasticity, and it is one of the most significant discoveries in modern neuroscience. The brain is not a fixed object. It is more like a living landscape, slowly shaped by everything that passes through it. What meditation does, as it turns out, is shape that landscape in very specific ways. And the changes are not subtle. They are visible on brain scans. A landmark study from Harvard, one that has been replicated and extended many times since, took a group of people who had never meditated before and put them through an 8-week mindfulness program. Just 8 weeks, 40 minutes or so a day. At the end of those 8 weeks, the researchers looked at their brains using magnetic resonance imaging, and what they found was that the physical structure of the brain had changed. The hippocampus, a region involved in learning, memory, and emotional regulation, had increased in gray matter density. The temporoparietal junction, which is associated with empathy and the ability to take another person's perspective, had also grown. These were not metaphorical changes. They were measurable differences in the tissue of the brain itself. Meanwhile, another region showed the opposite pattern. The amygdala, the structure most associated with the fear response, with the alarm signals the body sends out under stress, had decreased in size and in reactivity. The meditators were not simply feeling calmer. Their brains had physically reorganized around calm. That is worth sitting with for a moment. Not because it should make you feel pressured to meditate. You are here to rest, not to take on new tasks. But because it says something important about the nature of change. It says that change is not a matter of willpower alone, or of trying harder, or of being the kind of person who has things together. It is a biological process, a quiet, gradual, deeply physical process. And it is available to you. There is something else that happens in the brain during meditation, and it has a particular relevance for anyone who has ever lain awake at night watching their own thoughts circle. The default mode network is a set of brain regions that become active when we are not focused on any particular task. When the mind wanders, when it rehearses old conversations, anticipates future problems, narrates the story of our lives to ourselves. It is sometimes called the mind-wandering network, and in people who struggle with anxiety or low mood, it tends to be very active. The inner voice that won't quiet, the loop that keeps returning to the same worn grooves. Meditation, practiced regularly, reduces activity in the default mode network. It doesn't silence the mind. That is not really the point, and anyone who has tried to meditate knows that thoughts don't simply stop, but it changes the relationship to those thoughts. It creates a small and growing space between the thought and the reaction. A pause, a moment of awareness before the loop begins again. That pause is not nothing. That pause is, in many ways, everything. If today was hard, if this week has been one of those stretches that leaves you feeling worn down in a way that sleep doesn't quite reach, then what follows might be something of a comfort. Stress leaves marks on the body. This is not a metaphor. Chronic stress, the kind that accumulates over months and years, has measurable physical effects. It raises the levels of a hormone called cortisol, which in sustained quantities is associated with a long list of consequences: disrupted sleep, impaired memory, increased inflammation, a weakened immune response. Stress is not just a feeling. It is a physiological state that the body carries. And meditation, it turns out, speaks directly to that state. The nervous system has two broad modes of operation. One is the sympathetic mode, the fight or flight state. the one that floods the body with adrenaline and cortisol, that quickens the breath and tightens the chest and sends the heart racing. This is an ancient and vital system. It exists to keep you alive in moments of genuine threat. The other is the parasympathetic mode, sometimes called rest and digest, sometimes simply called the relaxation response. This is the state in which the body repairs itself, digests food, consolidates memories, restores its own balance. It is the state the body is designed to return to once the threat has passed. The problem, for many people living in the modern world, is that the threat never quite seems to pass. The nervous system stays in a state of low-level activation, the cortisol keeps circulating, and the body never fully arrives in the restorative mode it needs. Sleep becomes shallower. The mind stays busier than it should be, even in the dark. Meditation shifts the balance. A 2020 analysis of multiple studies found that meditation interventions significantly reduced cortisol levels, measurably, in blood samples, in saliva. The body was, quite literally, less stressed after meditation, not just during the sitting, but in the hours and days that followed regular practice. And there is something even deeper happening, at a level that might seem almost impossibly small. Inside every cell in your body, on the ends of every chromosome, there are structures called telomeres. They function a little like the plastic tips at the ends of shoelaces. They protect the chromosome from fraying, from degrading, and they shorten over time. The shortening of telomeres is one of the biological markers of aging. Chronic stress accelerates that shortening. Some research suggests that meditation may slow it down. The studies are still accumulating and the picture is not yet complete. But there is evidence, including work from a long-term project at the University of California, Davis, that followed intensive meditators over years, that regular practice may help preserve telomere length. That stillness, practiced over time, may be doing something at the cellular level. Something quiet and patient and profound. Something that works on a scale that has nothing to do with how it feels in the moment. There is also the question of genes, not the genes themselves. Meditation does not change your DNA, but it may change which genes are active. This field, called epigenetics, explores how experience shapes gene expression, how the same underlying code can produce different outcomes depending on the environment it operates in. Emerging research suggests that regular meditation may influence the activity of genes involved in inflammation and immune function, turning down the volume on processes that, when overactivated, contribute to illness and accelerated aging. None of this requires you to understand the biology. None of it requires you to do anything at all tonight. It is simply worth knowing that the body is listening, that whatever you do to cultivate stillness, however imperfectly, however briefly, is not lost. It is received. It is recorded, in the most literal sense, in the very fabric of your cells. There is one more thing worth knowing before we move into the quieter part of this evening. It has to do with the electrical life of the brain, and it connects what happens during meditation to what happens during sleep in a way that feels, once you understand it, almost like discovering a hidden door between two rooms you thought were separate. The brain at any given moment is humming with electrical activity. Billions of neurons firing, communicating, passing signals along pathways that have been carved by years of experience. This activity has rhythm. It pulses at different frequencies, and those frequencies correspond to different states of mind. When you are alert, engaged, working through a problem or having a conversation, the brain tends to operate in what are called beta waves, faster oscillations associated with active thinking. When you begin to relax, when the mind starts to soften at the edges, the brain shifts toward alpha waves, slower and wider. Alpha is the state of relaxed wakefulness, eyes closed, mind present but not striving. It is the state that appears at the boundary between being awake and beginning to drift. Deeper still are theta waves, slower again, associated with the early stages of sleep and with a particular quality of inner experience, vivid, associative, sometimes creative, sometimes deeply peaceful. Theta is where the hypnagogic state lives, that strange and beautiful threshold between waking and sleep, where images arise unbidden and thoughts become fluid and the ordinary logic of the day begins to dissolve. And deeper still are delta waves, the slowest of all, the waves of deep, dreamless sleep. Of the body's most profound restoration. What meditation does, and this is where it becomes genuinely remarkable, is allow the brain to move into these slower states voluntarily, deliberately, with awareness intact. A 2026 study found that brainwave changes during meditation begin within minutes. Consistently, around the 2 to 3 minute mark, the shift begins. By 7 to 10 minutes in, it has typically reached its depth. The brain moves from beta into alpha, sometimes into theta, sometimes, in long-term practitioners, into states that the instruments can barely account for. Swami Rama, in those studies at the Menninger Clinic in the 1960s, demonstrated something that the scientists present found almost impossible to accept. He produced delta waves, the waves of deep sleep, while remaining fully conscious and aware. Awake by every external measure, but generating the electrical signature of the deepest possible rest. The two rooms, it turned out, were not as separate as everyone had assumed. For those of us who are not long-term meditators, who have not spent decades cultivating this kind of mastery, the discovery still matters. Because it means that the path toward sleep is not a wall to be pushed through, but a gradient to be moved along. That the brain already knows the way. That meditation, even simple, imperfect, 5-minute meditation, nudges the brain in the direction it wants to go. Toward alpha, toward theta, toward the slow, soft dissolve of delta and the sleep that waits there. Research from Harvard found that a 6-week mindfulness program reduced insomnia symptoms and led to faster sleep onset. A 2019 analysis of 18 studies covering more than 1,600 participants found that mindfulness meditation improved sleep quality more than education-based treatments. Some studies suggest that regular meditators spend more time in the deepest stages of sleep, the restorative slow-wave sleep where the body does its most important repair work. There is even evidence that meditation may support the natural production of melatonin, the hormone that signals to the body that night has arrived, that the time for rest is here. The brain is already moving in this direction. You are already on the gradient. The day is already further away than it was when you first lay down. Something worth knowing. Before we close this part of the evening, a 2007 paper by psychologist Matt Rossano proposed something that has stayed with researchers ever since. He suggested that the practice of what he called fire-gazing meditation, the sustained, soft attention that early humans directed toward campfires during communal gatherings, somewhere between 150,000 and 200,000 years ago, may have been one of the conditions that allowed the human brain to develop the working memory necessary for language and symbolic thought. That stillness, practiced together in the dark around a source of warmth and light, may have been part of what made us human. There is something quietly moving about that. The idea that sitting still, in the dark, with the mind gently turned inward, is not a modern intervention or a therapeutic technique or a productivity strategy. It is something much older, something that runs in us, like a river runs beneath the ground, present long before anyone thought to name it, continuing long after the name is forgotten. You are part of a very long lineage of people who have found their way to stillness, who have sat or lain down in the dark and turned towards something quieter inside themselves and found that the turning itself was enough. That is what this is. That is what tonight is. And now the words have done what they can. The science has been spoken softly and set aside. What remains is something more direct, a chance to feel rather than simply understand what it is to let the brain move along the gradient it already knows, to follow the rhythm that is already there, underneath everything, patient and unhurried and vast. The meditation begins now. Let yourself be carried. Welcome back. You made it to part 2. And that alone means something quiet and good about you. That you are here, that you showed up, that you are giving yourself this time. So just let yourself arrive right where you are. Feel the surface beneath you holding you completely. There is nothing you need to do with any of it tonight. No effort, no figuring out, just this. You have been thinking perhaps about change, about the slow, patient work of becoming. And now it is time to set all of that down. Not because it does not matter, it does. But because the mind that rests tonight is the mind that grows tomorrow. And tonight, your only work is to rest. Let your eyes close if they are not already closed. Or let your gaze go soft, unfocused, resting on nothing in particular. Feel the weight of your body sinking just a little more into whatever is beneath you. The mattress, the pillow, the warmth of your blanket or sheet. All of it holding you. All of it asking nothing of you. You are already exactly where you need to be. Take a slow breath in through your nose and let it go easily without forcing anything. Just that simple release. The breath knows what to do. It always has. You do not have to manage it tonight. You can simply let it move. And as you breathe, let the day begin to lift. Think of it like a coat you have been wearing all day, heavy maybe, a little worn. And now you are setting it down by the door. All the conversations, the decisions, the things you got right and the things you wish had gone differently. All the questions about what comes next, what needs to change, what you are still working toward. You can set it all down right here, right now. It will still be there if you need it. But tonight, you do not need it. Feel your body soften just a little with that release. Feel the quiet that lives underneath all the thinking. It is always there, that quiet, patient, steady, waiting for you. And tonight you are moving toward it, slowly, gently, without any hurry at all. Let your breath find its own natural rhythm. Not too deep, not too controlled. Just the breath you have moving in and out on its own. Notice how it rises in your chest or your belly. Notice how there is a small, soft pause at the top of each inhale, and a longer, quieter pause at the end of each exhale. Just rest in those pauses for a moment, in the space between one breath and the next. That space is peaceful, quiet, completely safe. With each exhale, you are releasing just a little more, not forcing anything loose. Just allowing what is ready to go, to go. The breath carries it away, softly. Worry about tomorrow. Breathe it out. The question of whether you are doing enough. Breathe it out. The weight of hoping and trying and wondering. Breathe it out. You have done enough today. You are enough right now, exactly as you are. Let the breath slow just a little more. Not because you are making it slow, just because the body is beginning to understand that it is safe to let go. And the body is wise. It knows how to do this. It has been carrying you all day through everything, and now it is ready to rest. So let it. Begin to bring a gentle, easy awareness to the very top of your head, the crown of your skull. Feel the skin there and let it soften. Sometimes we hold tension there without even knowing it. A kind of low, quiet tightening that comes from a long day of thinking, of caring, of trying. Let it release now, like a gentle loosening. Feel the scalp relax. Feel the muscles behind your forehead soften and smooth. There is nothing to hold on to up there, nothing to figure out, just ease. Let that softening move down into your forehead. The space between your eyebrows where so much concentrating happens. Let those muscles release just a little. Not forcing, just allowing. The forehead grows smooth and heavy and still. And your eyes. Let the muscles around your eyes soften completely. The eyelids are heavy and quiet. The space behind your eyes feels cool and dark and restful. Let all the images of the day grow dim. Let everything you have seen today fade gently back, like the last light of evening. There is only this soft darkness now. And it is kind. Feel your cheeks relax. The muscles along your jaw beginning to loosen. The jaw is one of the places we hold so much, so many words unsaid, so much tension from talking and deciding and pushing through. Let it all soften now. Let your teeth part just slightly if that feels comfortable. Let the jaw hang loose and heavy. You do not need to hold anything in place. And your lips, soft, parted just a little, completely still. Your tongue resting gently in your mouth, soft and quiet. Your whole face, from the crown of your head to your chin, growing smooth and warm and heavy, like the face of someone deeply, peacefully asleep. Because that is where you are going, slowly, gently. There. Now let that wave of ease move down through your neck. The back of the neck, where so much tightness lives. Let it release. Vertebra by vertebra softening. The muscles on either side of the spine in your neck, long, strong muscles that have been holding your head up all day, let them rest now. They have worked hard. They have earned this. Feel the warmth spreading through your neck as the muscles let go. Nothing to hold up. Nothing to carry. Just rest. Let your shoulders drop. Maybe they were still carrying something. A little tension, a little brace against the world. Let them fall heavy and warm down toward the mattress. Yith, let them sink. The shoulders carry so much. The weight of responsibility, of caring, of effort. And all of that is real, and it matters. But right now, there is nothing to carry. Right now, there is only this, the soft surface beneath you, the quiet dark, the breath. Let the shoulders go completely. Feel that ease spreading down through your upper arms. The muscles there softening, growing heavy. Your elbows resting on the bed or at your sides, no effort required to hold them anywhere. Let your forearms release. Let your wrists go limp. And your hands. Feel your hands wherever they are resting. The palms, the fingers. Let each finger relax, one at a time if you like. The thumb. The index finger, the middle finger, the ring finger, the little finger. All of them loose and warm and still. Your hands have done so much today. Let them rest now completely in the quiet. Feel the whole of your arms now, from your shoulders to your fingertips. Heavy and warm and deeply at ease. Like your arms are sinking gently into the surface beneath you. Like the bed is holding them, cradling them, asking nothing of them. Just rest. Bring your awareness gently to your chest. Feel it rising and falling with each breath. Notice how, with each exhale, the chest softens just a little more. There may be feelings living in your chest tonight. Hope, perhaps, or the tender uncertainty that comes with wanting to grow and change. You do not have to resolve any of it. You can just feel the chest, warm and open, rising and falling. And with each breath out, let it soften a little more. Let the heart rest. It has been working so faithfully all day, all your life, without being asked. Let it beat on quietly, steadily, doing what it knows how to do. You can trust it. It knows the way. Your belly. Let your belly be completely soft now. Sometimes we hold the belly tight without realizing, a kind of bracing, a kind of protecting. You are safe here. You can let it go. Let the belly rise and fall freely with each breath. Soft, warm, open. With each exhale, feel the belly fall, and with it, feel everything just a little lighter. Let your awareness drift down through your lower back. Feel the place where your back meets the mattress or the surface beneath you. Notice the warmth there. The support. Let the lower back release any tension it has been holding. The muscles there softening, spreading, relaxing into the warmth. You do not have to hold yourself together right now. Everything is already held. By the bed, by the earth beneath the bed, by this quiet night. Do. Feel your hips and pelvis growing heavy, sinking into the mattress. All the tension of moving through the day, of sitting and standing and carrying yourself forward. All of it releasing now. The hips wide and heavy and still. A deep, warm relaxation spreading through the whole of your middle body. Let your thighs soften. The large muscles there, so strong, so capable. Let them rest completely. Feel them growing heavy, sinking, releasing. And your knees loose and comfortable. Your shins and calves softening with each breath. Any last little tightness in the legs just melting away, quietly, without effort. And your feet. Feel the soles of your feet warm and still. Your heels resting against the mattress. Your toes loose and soft. Let any last tension drain out through the soles of your feet, down into the earth, away. Gone. And now feel your whole body, from the crown of your head to the tips of your toes. Soft, heavy, warm, completely at rest. Every muscle given permission to let go. Every cell of your body settling into the deepest, most comfortable ease. You are held. You are safe. You are resting. There is nothing you need to do, nothing to fix, nothing to become, not tonight. Just this body, breathing, resting, being. And as your body rests so deeply, let your mind begin to drift. Not into thinking, not into planning, just into the soft, slow space that lives at the edge of sleep, where thoughts grow lighter and further away, where images come and go like clouds on a still afternoon. You do not need to hold on to any of them. Just let them drift. And now, if it feels right, let a gentle image come to you. A place that feels safe and quiet. Perhaps somewhere you have been before, or perhaps somewhere your mind is creating now, soft and unhurried. Let it take shape slowly, the way a dream begins. Imagine that you are walking along a path just as the evening is settling in. The light is low and golden, the kind of light that makes everything look softer, warmer, more at peace. The air is the perfect temperature, neither too warm nor too cool. Just right, just easy, resting gently against your skin. The path is smooth beneath your feet, and with every step you feel a little more at ease, a little more at home in yourself, a little more here. The path leads you through a quiet meadow. The grass on either side is long and soft, moving in the faintest breeze. There are wildflowers here and there, pale and simple, nodding gently in the evening air. And above you, the sky is deepening from gold to a soft, deep blue. The first stars are just beginning to appear, faint and steady, one by one. You are not in any hurry. There is nowhere you need to be. You are just walking, breathing, letting the evening hold you. And as you walk, you notice something. The path behind you is lined with small stones. And you understand, in the quiet way you understand things in this half-dreaming place, that each stone represents something you have carried. A habit you have been trying to release. A version of yourself you have been working to soften. A fear about whether change is really possible. A worry about whether you are doing it right, doing it fast enough, doing it at all. All of those stones laid out behind you along the path you have already walked. You do not need to pick them up. You do not need to examine them or name them. They are already behind you, already set down. You can just keep walking forward, lighter with every step. Ahead of you, the path opens into a small clearing. And in the center of the clearing, there is a bench. Old and smooth, worn soft by time, facing a still, quiet pond. You walk toward it, and you sit down. And the moment you sit, you feel the last of the day's weight fall away from your shoulders. Just like that. Easy. Gone. The pond before you is perfectly still. Its surface is like dark glass, reflecting the deepening sky above. The first stars are mirrored in it, doubled, shimmering faintly. And the whole scene is quiet. Not a silence that feels empty, but a silence that feels full. Full of peace. Full of something gentle and patient and very old. You sit with that stillness for a while. Oh, breathing. In and out. The chest rising and falling. The pond perfectly still. the stars slowly appearing, one by one, above and below. And in this quiet, a thought comes to you. Not urgent, not demanding, just soft and clear, like a stone settling to the bottom of still water. Change does not happen all at once. It happens the way night arrives. Not in a single moment, but gradually, gently, 1 degree of darkness at a time, until you look up and realize it is night. It is beautiful. You are already here. You think of all the small moments that have already shifted in you. The breath you took before responding instead of reacting. The choice you made, quiet and unwitnessed, that was a little kinder, a little wiser. The time you were gentle with yourself when you might once have been harsh. All of those moments, small, invisible, accumulating. Like water slowly shaping stone. Like roots growing deeper in the dark where no one can see. You do not have to see the roots to know they are growing. You do not have to measure the stone to know the water has been working. You just have to keep showing up. And you have been showing up. You are here, aren't you? Right now, in this quiet place, you are here. Let that land somewhere soft inside you. Not as a burst of pride or relief, just as a quiet knowing. You are doing it slowly. In the way that lasts, and that is enough. That has always been enough. The pond reflects the sky and the stars, and you sit with it all completely at ease. Your hands resting soft in your lap. Your breathing slow and even. Your body heavy and warm on the bench. And now, slowly, something else begins to happen. The clearing around you grows a little softer, a little less defined. The edges of things becoming gentle and blurred, the way they do when you are moving towards sleep. The pond still there, still quiet, still reflecting the stars. But the whole scene is growing warmer, closer, like a blanket being drawn around you. You are not walking anywhere now. You are just resting. Held by the bench, held by the clearing, held by the soft dark of this dreaming place. And your body back in the room, in the bed, is sinking deeper. Heavier with each breath. Warmer. Let your thoughts drift like leaves on the surface of the pond. They move gently across. And they go. You do not need to follow any of them. You do not need to catch them or examine them or decide anything about them. And let them go. The mind is growing quieter now. The thoughts are further away, like voices from another room, soft and indistinct, not meant for you. You are here, just here, in this body, in this breath, in this warmth. Feel how heavy your eyelids are, how soft the space behind them. How easy it would be to let everything go just a little further. You are so close to sleep now. The body knows, the breath knows. Everything in you is ready. And somewhere, very gently, you understand something about lasting change. It does not ask you to be awake all the time. It does not ask you to be vigilant or effortful or constantly improving. It asks you to rest, to trust the slow work happening in the dark, to give the body and the mind the sleep they need to integrate, to heal, to quietly become. Sleep is not a pause in the work of change. Sleep is where the deepest change happens. In the dark. In the quiet. Without effort. Right now, as you rest, something in you is settling into a new shape. You do not have to do anything for that. You just have to let go. So let go. Let the clearing grow softer around you. Let the pond grow still and dark. Let the stars above you blur into a gentle, warm darkness. Let your body sink. Let your breath slow. Let your thoughts go quiet. You are safe. You are held. You are resting in the middle of a life that is slowly, gently, beautifully shifting. And tonight, the only thing asked of you is this. Or sleep. The bench beneath you, the soft earth, the warm dark. All of it cradling you. All of it asking nothing. Just this breath. And the next one. Slower now. Quieter. The stars are still there above the pond. Patient and steady. They have been burning for a very long time. They know how to wait. And so do you. There is time. There is always enough time for the things that matter, for the slow unfolding, for the rest that makes it possible. Let your body be completely still, heavy and warm. King. One breath. Soft and slow. Hey. Yeah. And out. The pond is still. The clearing is quiet. The night is gentle and deep. You are drifting now. Somewhere between this place and sleep. The softest border. Easy to cross. Let yourself cross it. There is nothing to hold on to here. Sleep speeders, nothing to keep watch over. Just the warmth, the breath, the dark. Yeah. Feel. You are resting now. Deeply. Completely. The body at peace. The mind at ease. Somewhere far away the day exists. But you are not there. You are here. In the quiet. In the dark. In the slow, steady rhythm of your own breathing. Let it carry you all the way down into sleep. Deep healing, restoring sleep, where the change you have been tending continues quietly, without your help, without your watching, held by the night, by the dark, by the patient, faithful work of simply resting. You are already there.